The Galactic Council's hall was silent when the human envoy arrived. Thousands of alien eyes turned toward the single figure walking across the shining floor. She moved without fear, her boots echoing in the chamber. Her name was Admiral Reyes, commander of Earth's defense fleet. Every member of the council had seen the reports. Earth had been attacked, its colonies bombed, its people massacred, and yet the humans had not begged for peace. They had requested this meeting instead. At the center of the hall, the High Speaker rose. His body shimmered with silver scales, and his voice echoed through the chamber. "Admiral Reyes of Earth," he said coldly, "we regret the loss of life your world has suffered. But retaliation against our allied races will not be tolerated." Reyes stood still, hands behind her back. "You mean the races that burned our colonies?" she asked quietly. "The ones who killed unarmed settlers?" Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The council had expected anger, maybe tears, but not this calm voice that carried steel beneath it. The speaker's tone turned sharp. "Your forces have destroyed 3 fleets already. That violates the council's peace code." Reyes looked around the chamber, scanning the faces of dozens of alien delegates. "Peace code," she repeated. "You mean the one you enforced while our civilians burned?" Her voice grew cold. "Earth followed your laws. We asked for help. We waited. You did nothing." The council chamber flickered with light as nervous delegates exchanged signals. A reptilian general from the Zethar Dominion hissed, "Your species is reckless. You think yourselves powerful because of your machines. But you are still children compared to us." Reyes smiled faintly. "Then you've made a mistake. You left those children alone long enough to grow up." Silence. The air seemed to thicken. Even the drones recording the meeting stopped humming. Then the speaker said, "Admiral Reyes, Earth is ordered to stand down. No more strikes. If you continue, the Council will place your world under sanctions." Reyes slowly raised her hand and placed a small device on the table. A projection burst into the air. Images of burning human colonies, destroyed hospitals, crying children, and alien ships marked with Council insignia. "These are your allies," she said. "These are the ones you protect." One of the council members shouted, "That is propaganda!" Reyes turned to face him. "No, this is truth. You think we would fabricate the screams of our own children?" The council speaker struck his staff against the floor, signaling for silence. "You risk the wrath of every civilization here," he warned. "Do you truly believe Earth can fight the entire galaxy?" Reyes stared at him without blinking. "We already are." The words echoed like thunder. A pulse of energy seemed to sweep through the room. Even the bravest of delegates looked away. Far above the council chamber, in the black void of space, human ships were already arriving. Stealth cruisers, black as midnight, entered the system in silent formation. They carried no banners, no colors, only the faint blue glow of engines. To the council's scanners, they appeared as shadows moving through the stars. Back inside, the speaker received a transmission. His eyes widened slightly as data scrolled across his display. He looked up, voice cracking. "Admiral, your ships, why are they here?" Reyes did not move. "Because Earth is done asking for permission to exist," gasps spread through the hall. The Zathar general jumped to his feet. "You threatened the council itself." Reyes' gaze hardened. "No, I bring you a choice. Endure protection of the attackers, or Earth will end it for you." Laughter erupted from a few delegates, but it died quickly when the chamber's holographic walls shifted. A live feed appeared, hundreds of human warships surrounding a massive alien fortress, their weapons already charged. One delegate whispered, "Impossible." "How did they move their fleet so fast?" Reyes replied. "While the council argued, we built ships that moved through folded space." "You call it impossible." "We call it survival." The speaker's voice trembled. "If you fire on that fortress, the council will retaliate with everything we have." Reyes stepped closer, her eyes cold as steel. "Then you'll learn what Earth's definition of everything means." The hall fell silent again. Outside, the stars flickered with distant flashes, small at first, then brighter. The alien fortress exploded into fragments, its energy core rupturing. Every screen in the council chamber went white with light. When the image cleared, the fortress was gone. So were the fleets that had attacked Earth's colonies. The speaker's hands shook. "You destroyed them. All of them." Reyes nodded once. "Retaliation, not war. You watched while they murdered millions. Now you'll watch something else. The cost of your silence." The council chamber was deathly still. No one spoke. Even the air felt heavy with fear. Finally, the speaker whispered, "What does Earth want?" Reyes' voice was calm. "Justice. And if justice is too hard for you to deliver, then fear will do." She turned and began to walk away. Every step echoed like a hammer strike. Outside, the fleet waited in orbit, their hulls reflecting the light of burning worlds. For the first time in galactic history, the Council did not speak. They only watched in silence as a single human woman walked out of their chamber, her people's vengeance burning behind her. And across the stars, the message spread faster than light. Earth had arrived, and it would never kneel again. The council chamber had not seen silence like this in 1,000 years. After Admiral Reyes left, the alien delegates sat frozen, their eyes flicking between each other, waiting for someone, anyone, to speak first. But no one dared. For the first time, they had witnessed a species defy the entire galactic order and walk away unharmed. On the far end of the chamber, High Speaker Vartal broke the silence. His voice trembled, though he tried to sound firm. "Summon the Security Council," he ordered. "We must assess the human threat immediately." The word threat echoed strangely through the hall. None of them liked using it, not for a young race like humans. Yet the destruction of an entire fortress, without warning, without hesitation, had left no doubt. Humanity had crossed a line the galaxy thought could never be crossed. Meanwhile, far from the Council's glittering world, aboard the flagship Horizon, Admiral Reyes stood on the observation deck, staring at the burning remains of the alien fortress. Around her, the command center buzzed with quiet control. Officers spoke softly, hands gliding over holographic panels. The fleet was calm, too calm. Commander Liu approached her. "Transmission from Earth Command," he said. "The President wants to address the fleet," Reyes nodded. The central display flickered to life, revealing the face of President Alina Grayson. Her eyes were tired but resolute. "Admiral," she began, "the galaxy has seen what we're capable of, but they won't stay silent for long. Expect retaliation." Reyes kept her voice steady. "Let them come. We've been on the defensive for too long." The President hesitated. "And the Council?" Reyes' gaze hardened. "They'll talk about peace, but their silence cost us billions of lives. I don't trust their words anymore." The screen faded. Commander Liu exhaled slowly. "You realize what this means, don't you? We're on our own now, no allies, no support." Reyes turned toward the stars. "Then it's time Earth learned to stand alone." Back on the Council world, chaos was spreading behind closed doors. Reports flooded in. Council outposts destroyed, communication relays hacked, supply lines vanished. Every time they traced the source, it led to shadow signals, bouncing through black space. Signals that bore Earth's encryption patterns. In one dark corner of the galaxy, a Council research station tried to intercept a human probe. It never had the chance. The probe emitted a pulse of light, and the entire station's systems went offline. A minute later, every security camera inside the station activated on its own, broadcasting a single human message across every screen. "You watched." We remember. The footage spread through the galactic networks like wildfire. Fear began to ripple across civilizations that once saw humans as harmless. Inside the Council's war room, Vartal slammed a clawed hand against the table. "We cannot let them dominate the narrative," he roared. "They are one world. We command hundreds." An old aquatic delegate floated beside him, her translucent body glowing faintly. "And yet," she said softly, "one world has already done what hundreds never dared. They defied us, and won." A chilling silence followed. The Council's military advisors scrambled to gather their fleets. Massive battleships, carriers, and destroyers aligned in formation, preparing to confront humanity near the border sectors. But the humans didn't wait to be attacked. They moved first. From deep space, Earth's dark matter cruisers emerged, black vessels with no visible engines, moving silently between gravity folds. Council sensors failed to track them until it was too late. Within seconds, 3 major supply convoys vanished into static. A Council admiral shouted across the comms, "We can't lock targets! They're invisible!" "Then fire blindly." Someone else yelled. The void erupted in explosions, missiles launched in every direction, but none hit their mark. The human ships moved like ghosts, striking from behind, disabling engines, and vanishing before retaliation on the horizon. Reyes watched the holographic map as enemy fleets blinked out one after another. "Minimal casualties," Commander Liu reported. "All enemy vessels disabled, not destroyed," Reyes nodded. "Good, let them drift home. Let them see what mercy looks like." Her words spread across the human fleet, a strange kind of vengeance. Not rage, not cruelty. Just calm, calculated power. The kind that made enemies tremble more than destruction ever could. When news of the defeats reached the Council, Vartal slammed his fist again. "They humiliate us. How can a single world outmatch the fleets of the galaxy?" One of his advisors whispered, "Perhaps they're no longer a single world." That was when the truth began to surface. Intercepted transmissions revealed that humans had colonized deeper than anyone believed. Entire hidden shipyards existed beyond mapped space, self-sustaining, invisible, shielded by gravitational anomalies. For decades, they had been preparing for the moment the Council failed them. Vartel's voice dropped to a whisper. "They planned this." Across the chamber, other delegates exchanged fearful glances. "They planned us," said one softly. "Every move, every delay, they used our bureaucracy to gain time." Reyes' message played again in their minds. "You left the children alone long enough to grow up." Now they understood what she meant. Humanity had not only grown, they had evolved. In the following days, human fleets surrounded more Council outposts, but instead of attacking, they simply jammed all communication. No messages could enter or leave. Planets went dark, isolated, their leaders forced to watch as human ships hovered silently in orbit, making no demands, no moves, just watching. This psychological warfare broke more than any weapon could. Council worlds began surrendering without a shot. Others turned on each other, terrified of who might be next. And in every intercepted signal, one sentence kept appearing, unsigned but unmistakably human. "Earth does not seek war, but it will never be silenced again." In her flagship, Reyes watched reports come in, each victory quiet, controlled, deliberate. She stood at the viewport, the stars reflecting in her eyes. Commander Liu joined her. "The Council's collapsing," he said. "They're losing faith in their own order." Reyes nodded slowly. "Good. Maybe it's time for a new order, one built on respect, not fear." He looked at her carefully. "And who will lead it?" Reyes turned away from the window. "Not us," she said. "We'll remind them what leadership really means. We'll show them humanity's strength without cruelty." But deep inside, she knew the truth. The galaxy would never forget what had just begun. The Council might fall, but the legend of Earth's retaliation would rise in its place, a story whispered across the stars. And somewhere, far beyond the known systems, a new kind of war was already forming, one not of weapons, but of will, because humanity had proven something terrifying. The smallest world could shake the universe. The stars looked calm again, but everyone in the galaxy knew it was a lie. The Council had stopped sending fleets. Their ships stayed docked, their channels quiet. The same leaders who once spoke with arrogance now whispered behind closed doors, afraid that even a single transmission might draw Earth's attention. In the dark, floating halls of the Galactic Council, the High Speaker sat alone, staring at a blinking hologram. It was a message, simple, quiet, and short. Only 3 words glowed in the air. "Do not test us." It wasn't signed. It didn't need to be. Across the stars, the same message appeared in every major fleet command, every governor's palace, every broadcast tower. It didn't come through normal communication lines. It came through systems thought to be impossible to reach, encrypted, isolated, protected. Yet somehow humans had reached them all. At first, the Council thought it was an empty threat. Then the failures began. Power grids shut down. Starbases lost life support for 20 minutes at a time. Supply ships drifted into nothingness without distress calls. Every time someone tried to trace the source, they found only static and the same message again. Do not test us. The Council called an emergency assembly. Delegates from dozens of species arrived, angry and frightened. They shouted, demanded action, wanted to strike back. But none of them had real answers. A holographic image of Admiral Reyes appeared on the main display. She wasn't live. It was a recorded message, intercepted from one of her broadcasts to Earth's fleet. Still, her voice filled the chamber like thunder. We do not seek conquest. We seek peace enforced by strength. If the Council wants peace, they will have it. If they want war, they will have it twice over. The alien generals exchanged glances. They had fought for centuries, led armies through countless wars. But none of them had ever heard a human speak like that, with calm certainty, without rage, without hesitation. Vartal, the High Speaker, clenched his claws around the edge of the table. She means to terrify us, he hissed. They want to control through fear. The aquatic delegate Ilaris shook her head. Now they want to control through memory. They want us to remember what silence cost them. At that moment, a new alarm blared across the Council station. Every holographic panel in the chamber went black. Then one by one they lit up again, each showing the same image. A human child looking up at a burning sky. The sound of crying filled the chamber. It was footage from the colonies. Real footage. The same massacre Earth had begged the Council to stop. Vartal's face turned pale silver. Who released this? Not us, said a technician, voice shaking. It's coming from everywhere. The broadcast spread through the entire galactic network. Every citizen on every world saw what the Council had tried to bury. The destruction of human colonies. The inaction, the betrayal. For the first time, the galaxy saw humanity not as a threat, but as victims who refused to die quietly. Across a dozen worlds, riots erupted. On some planets, civilians demanded their governments cut ties with the Council. On others, military officers refused to fire on human ships, declaring they would not repeat history. The Council's control was breaking apart, and Earth didn't even have to fire a shot. Back on the horizon, Admiral Reyes watched the chaos unfold on the main display. Her officers stood silently, unsure whether to celebrate or mourn. Commander Liu finally spoke. You think they'll turn on each other now? Reyes nodded slowly. That's what they do when they're afraid. But this isn't about destroying them. It's about teaching them what fear feels like when it's earned. Liu hesitated. And if they still come for us? Reyes turned to face him. Then they'll learn what regret feels like too. Hours later, an encrypted signal arrived from within the Council itself. Her voice spoke through static, low and trembling. Admiral Reyes, this is Ilaris of the Council's inner circle. I wish to discuss peace, but not the kind we had before. Reyes folded her arms. Speak, Ilaris hesitated. You've made your point. The Council can't hide the truth anymore. But if you keep pressing, the extremists among us will rise. They will unite against you, Reyes frowned. You're saying if we stop, they'll tear themselves apart. Yes, Ilaris said. Sometimes peace is not made by destroying enemies, but by letting them destroy their illusions. Reyes studied the transmission. Ilaris wasn't lying. She sounded tired, defeated, almost ashamed. Then help us, Reyes said finally. Show us who ordered the attacks on our colonies. Give us the proof. I can do that, Ilaris said. But once you know, you'll see the truth isn't simple. The Council isn't your only enemy. The line went dead. Reyes stood still. The bridge was quiet, the hum of the ship faint in the background. For a moment, she felt the weight of the entire species pressing down on her shoulders. Humanity had become more than just a survivor. It had become a symbol, but symbols came with a price. A few hours later, a second transmission arrived. This time it wasn't from Ilaris. It was from deep space, a coded signal from an unknown source. When decrypted, it revealed coordinates to an uncharted system beyond the galactic border. Attached was a single line of text. They were never acting alone. Reyes stared at the message for a long time. Then she turned to Commander Liu. "Set course for those coordinates," he blinked. "Admiral, that's outside mapped space. We don't even know if those coordinates are real." Reyes' expression hardened. "Then it's time we found out who's been hiding behind the Council's mask." As the horizon turned, its engines glowing like blue fire, the stars stretched into thin lines. 1,000 ships followed, Earth's entire dark fleet, silent and ready. Behind them, the galaxy watched. The Council whispered, and in the cold void ahead, something ancient waited, something that had used the Council as a shield for centuries. Humanity had won the first war. But what lay beyond those coordinates would test not just Earth's power, but its soul. For the first time, Admiral Reyes felt a shiver of doubt. This time, retaliation might not be enough. Because what waited in the dark didn't fear Earth at all. It had been waiting for it. The horizon slipped out of folded space and entered a starless void. The screens showed nothing but a faint blue haze, the kind of emptiness that made even veterans uneasy. For a few seconds the bridge was silent. Then the sensors lit up. Commander Liu frowned. "Admiral, there's something here. Structures, artificial." Reyes leaned forward. On screen, a massive shape appeared through the haze, black towers rising from a dead planet, linked by silver bridges and energy webs. It wasn't a station or city. It was something older, buried in silence for millennia. No signals, no life signs, but power readings spiked higher than anything human or alien tech had recorded before. "Is it Council origin?" Liu asked. Reyes shook her head. "No, this is beyond them. Maybe older than the Council itself." They scanned further. At the heart of the structure was a spherical core, slowly pulsing with light, as if alive. Around it, hundreds of inactive machines floated in perfect formation, guardians that hadn't moved for centuries. Reyes whispered, "Whatever this is, someone built it to be found." Back at the Galactic Council, panic was brewing again. Reports came in from the outer sectors. Ships going dark, fleets disappearing into the same uncharted region humanity had entered. The Council Intelligence Division intercepted faint signals, human in origin, mixed with something else. Vartal stared at the data feed. "They've awakened something," he muttered, "and they don't even know what it is." On the horizon, engineers worked to decode the energy readings. Lieutenant Kyle, a young technician, looked up from his station. "Admiral, this structure is responding to us. Every time our scanners pulse, it adjusts frequency as if listening." Reyes crossed her arms. "Then let's talk." They sent a low-band transmission, simple binary, the oldest form of communication humans had. For a long minute, nothing happened. Then suddenly the energy core brightened. The ship's systems flickered. Every screen flashed with a single symbol, a spiral of stars, looping into infinity. Liu frowned. "What is that?" Gale replied softly. "That's the same pattern found in ancient council ruins. The symbol of the architects." Reyes turned sharply. "The architects? Those are myths." "Maybe not," Gale said. "If this is real, then the council's been hiding them for centuries." Before they could discuss further, the core released a pulse. It wasn't an attack. It was a signal, a message that hit every system in the ship at once. The bridge lights dimmed. And then a voice spoke. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien either. It was calm, layered, mechanical, and alive. "You are late, children of Sol." The crew froze. Reyes felt her heartbeat slow. "Identify yourself. We are the witness. The one left behind to remember," Liu whispered. "It's AI, ancient. You were not meant to find us yet." The voice continued. "But the Council's betrayal accelerated your evolution. They feared your rise, as they once feared ours." Reyes stared at the core. "You're saying the Council destroyed your creators?" "Yes, and they will do the same to you." The room fell silent again. The voice spoke once more. "The architects built us to preserve memory. We warned them of the Council's ambition, but they ignored it. Now you stand where they stood, at the edge of power and ruin. The light inside the core flickered faster. Reyes leaned closer. "What do you want from us?" "Not what we want," said the voice. "What you will need. We hold the truth they buried, the record of every world they silenced, every species erased. Take it, and the council will fall from within." The crew exchanged glances. Liu whispered, "It could be a trap." Reyes nodded slowly. "Maybe, but it's the first honest thing anyone's offered us." She raised her hand. "Download the data." As the connection opened, streams of information poured into the Horizon systems. Images, codes, star maps, histories stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. The Council's lies, their secret wars, their exterminations, all of it laid bare. But with the truth came a warning. "Once you know," said the witness, "you cannot return unchanged. Knowledge carries weight, and those who hold it must decide whether to reveal or to rule." Before Reyes could respond, the core went dark. The planet's towers dimmed. Everything fell silent again. The horizon was alone. On the bridge, Liu looked shaken. "What did we just do?" Reyes didn't answer. She looked at the main display. Thousands of files still transferring. "We've just uncovered the galaxy's oldest secret," she said softly. "And now the Council will do anything to erase it." Back at the Council's central world, Ilaris burst into Vartal's chamber. "They found it," she said breathlessly. "The human admiral. They've reached the architect's site." Vartal froze. "That's impossible. Those coordinates were erased from every archive." Ilaris shook her head. "Apparently not from theirs." Vartal's scales darkened. "Then we must move before they speak. If humanity exposes what the Council has done, our rule ends." He activated his comm. "Prepare the silence fleet, all units. Every shadow ship we have." Ilaris' eyes widened. "The silence fleet? Those were banned for a reason." Vartal's voice was ice. "Because they were effective. As human ships left the void with forbidden knowledge, the galaxy shifted. Empires that once watched now prepared to act. Secret weapons stirred in hidden docks. And in the cold bridge of the horizon, Reyes stood alone before the stars, the burden of truth heavy in her mind. She whispered to herself, "We wanted justice. But maybe what we found is something far more dangerous." Outside, space rippled, signs of multiple fleets entering the system. Humanity's next test had arrived. The horizon raised shields. Engines roared. The reckoning had begun again. The first warning came as a vibration through the hull of the horizon, a low rhythmic hum, so deep it seemed to come from the bones of space itself. Admiral Reyes felt it before the sensors registered it. She looked up from the data stream still pouring from the Architect archive. "Report," she ordered. Commander Liu's voice was tense. "Mass displacement detected on the edge of the system. Multiple signatures. No energy readings, just gravitational shifts." Reyes frowned. "Stealth ships?" "More than that," Liu said quietly. "They're bending light, mass, even time. These readings shouldn't exist." Before anyone could respond, the ship's lights flickered. The sensors screamed with static. Out of the haze, dozens of massive silhouettes emerged, sleek, black, and silent. Their hulls absorbed light itself, swallowing starlight until they seemed like holes cut into reality. "The Silence Fleet," Liu whispered. Every officer on the bridge froze. The name was legend, rumored ships that the Council had built in secret ages ago, designed for one purpose: annihilation without trace. They didn't broadcast, didn't communicate. When they appeared, civilizations disappeared. Reyes steadied her voice. "Raise shields. Bring all weapons online. I want a tight formation." The human fleet spread into defensive positions. Energy lines glowed blue across their hulls, casting a ghostly light through the void. For a moment everything went still. Then the Silence Fleet moved. No weapons fired. No beams, no missiles, just silence. But the void itself seemed to twist. Space folded around the alien ships, crushing distortion waves that struck the human formation. Alarms blared as one of Earth's destroyers vanished in a burst of energy. "Hit by gravitic compression," shouted Kale from engineering. "They're collapsing local space-time around our ships." "Counter with phase inverters," Reyes commanded. If they control the void, we'll change its rhythm. The fleet adapted instantly. Human ships flickered in and out of folded space, shifting their resonance with every pulse. The Silence Fleet's distortions hit nothing but shadows. "Lock on targets," Reyes ordered. Commander Liu shook his head. "We can't. They're not in normal space. Every scan just bounces back." Reyes stared at the black ships. "Then we don't shoot where they are. We shoot where they'll be." She mapped the patterns, the rhythm of distortions, the timing of gravitational ripples. It was like watching a heartbeat, predictable, alive. "Fire on my mark," she said. "Now." The horizon unleashed a wave of dark matter torpedoes, each one calibrated to detonate in alternate dimensions. For a moment the void flashed with invisible light. Then 3 silent ships flickered into visibility, torn open, their cores imploding soundlessly. The rest began to retreat, vanishing one by one into folds of shadow. Liu exhaled. "We actually hit them." Reyes didn't celebrate. "That was a probe. The real fleet's still waiting." She turned to the holographic table. "Open a secure link to the architect data. There has to be something in there about these ships." Cale began scrolling through the files. Strange diagrams filled the air, ancient blueprints and codes written in alien scripts. Then he stopped. "Admiral, look at this." The projection showed an old image, the same silent ships surrounding a planet not far from the Council's core systems. Underneath the image, a line of text blinked in translation. "Project Silence, initiated by the Council, authorized by the architects." Reyes' eyes narrowed. "The architects helped them build this?" Kyle nodded. "Before they were destroyed, yes. It looks like the Council twisted their technology, turned it into weapons to erase threats. So the architects created the tools of their own extinction," Liu muttered. Reyes clenched her jaw. "And now those tools are aimed at us." Suddenly, another pulse hit the fleet, massive, stronger than before. Warnings blared. "They're here again!" Kyle shouted. But this time, it's all of them. Hundreds of ships emerged around the system, an entire armada of darkness. Reyes knew there was no escape. "All units, form Shield Ring Formation Delta. Protect the horizon at all costs." As the battle erupted, the void turned into a storm of collapsing stars. Human cruisers folded space in bursts of blue energy, dodging invisible strikes. The Silence Fleet moved like predators, striking with unseen claws. But humanity fought differently. Every human ship was connected through the neural net, the same innovation the Council had once mocked. They adapted faster than any single command chain. Every decision Reyes made rippled through the fleet in seconds. She gave one order, quiet but firm: no retreat. For an hour, the void burned. When the light finally faded, wreckage drifted silently across the black. Human losses were heavy, but the Silence Fleet was broken. Dozens of its ships floated crippled, powerless, their void shields flickering out. Liu's voice was soft. "Admiral, we did it." Reyes didn't look relieved. "No," she said quietly. "We survived." "There's a difference," Kyle interrupted. "Admiral, incoming message. It's not from the Council. It's from the Witness." The bridge lights dimmed again. The same calm voice filled the air. "You have fought well, children of Sol. The Silence Fleet was their final leash upon creation. You have broken it." Reyes stepped forward. "Then it's over?" "No," said the Witness. "You've opened the last door. Beyond this lies what even the Council fears. The architects built one final failsafe, a weapon of truth." Reyes frowned. "Weapon of truth. They called it the Echo Core, a machine that reveals not destruction, but remembrance. It records every act of cruelty, every lie, and broadcasts it across reality itself. Once awakened, no empire can hide from its reflection." Lesu stared at the glowing core on the display. "And where is this Echo Core?" "In the heart of the Council's homeworld." The transmission ended. Reyes stood silently. The stars outside the viewport were still bleeding from the battle, but her eyes burned brighter. "Set course," she said. "We end this where it began." The fleet turned, engines igniting like blue suns. Behind them, the ruins of the Silence Fleet drifted lifeless through the void, a monument to what humanity had endured. Ahead of them lay the Council world, the truth and perhaps the end of everything, and as the horizon jumped into folded space, a single thought echoed through the minds of every soldier aboard. Earth's retaliation wasn't over, it was only evolving. The horizon broke through the final layer of folded space, and there it was, the Galactic Council's homeworld. A massive planet wrapped in gold and blue energy grids, glittering like a crown in the dark. For centuries, it had been seen as the symbol of order, peace, and control. But to Admiral Reyes, it looked like a fortress built on silence and lies. "Admiral," Commander Liu said quietly, "all systems green. Every ship in formation. Earth fleet stands ready." Reyes nodded but didn't speak. Her eyes were locked on the planet's shining surface. Buried deep beneath its capital, according to the witness, was the Echo Core, the final secret of the architects. The weapon that didn't destroy bodies but empires built on deception. "Open channel," she said. A moment later, the Council's emblem appeared on the main screen. Eye Speaker Vartal's image flickered into focus. His face looked older, worn by fear and sleepless nights. "Admiral Reyes," he said bitterly, "you've come to finish what you started." Reyes' voice was calm. "I came for the truth you buried. There is no truth," he hissed. "Only survival. The galaxy needs order, not chaos. And your kind, your endless vengeance will burn it all down." Reyes took a step forward, her voice steady. "Then maybe it needs to burn before it can heal." Vartal's composure broke. "You think you're righteous? You're the same as us, hungry for control. You call it justice. We called it peace. There is no difference." Reyes glanced at the flickering lights behind him. "Maybe not," she said softly. "But we still remember the difference between silence and freedom." Before the speaker could respond, the feed cut out. The Council's defense grid came online. Rings of light circling the planet, glowing brighter with every rotation. "Shields are charging," Liu warned. "If they go full power, we'll never get through." Reyes looked at the navigation officer. "Then we won't go through, we'll go under." The fleet dove, engines flaring blue as they plunged toward the planet's dark side. There, behind the glowing surface, the true structure of the defense grid appeared. Ancient towers built from architect designs. Pulsing with life, Kale called out, "Admiral! We're detecting the same energy signature as the Witness's world. The Echo Core is linked to this system." "Then that's where we strike," Reyes said. They dropped to orbital altitude, every cannon and plasma rail synchronized. "Target the core's external conduits," Reyes ordered. "We're not destroying the planet, we're cutting the leash." The first barrage hit. Light cascaded across the towers like molten fire. Explosions rippled outward, but instead of destruction, a strange wave of energy spread through space, like a heartbeat waking from centuries of sleep. Then it happened. Every ship in orbit, human and alien alike, received a sudden transmission. No code, no encryption. Just sound and images flooding across all frequencies. It was history. The Echo Core had awakened. Images appeared in every cockpit, every city, every home. The hidden past of the galaxy unfolded before their eyes. The architects creating life, the Council's betrayal, the purges of countless worlds, the silenced rebellions. The truth poured out like light from a shattered sun. Across the Council's world, panic erupted. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Civilians screamed. And even Vartal fell to his knees as his people saw the centuries of lies exposed. Reyes stood on the bridge, watching the impossible happen. Kyle's voice shook. "Admiral, they're broadcasting everything. Every sin, every secret," Reyes whispered. "That's what truth looks like. It burns, but then the planet began to tremble. The Echo Core's energy was rising far beyond predicted levels. It wasn't just showing truth, it was unraveling reality itself. Core instability," Lao shouted. "If it overloads, it'll rip the planet apart." Reyes' eyes hardened. "Evacuate the orbit now!" The fleet pulled back, engines blazing as shockwaves erupted from the planet's surface. Lightning arcs of energy tore through the sky, splitting cities in half. Vartal's final transmission came through the chaos. His face was ghostly, illuminated by the glow of destruction. "You wanted the truth, human," he said weakly. "Now the galaxy will choke on it." The feed dissolved in light. Moments later, the echo core detonated, not in fire, but in brilliance. A wave of luminous energy swept across the system, erasing every shadow, every deception, every lie. When it faded, the planet was gone. Only fragments of golden dust drifted where the Council's seat of power had once stood. Silence filled the bridge. Liu finally whispered, "We destroyed them." Reyes shook her head. "No, they destroyed themselves the day they chose lies over truth." Kyle turned to her. "What happens now?" Reyes looked at the stars, her expression unreadable. "Now, the galaxy has to decide what kind of light it wants to live in." The comms crackled suddenly. It was Ilaris, the aquatic delegate who had once helped them. Her voice was faint but calm. "Admiral, the transmission spread across every system. Even the frontier worlds saw it. The Council's power is gone. Some worlds are already forming a new alliance, one that looks to Earth for guidance." Reyes closed her eyes for a moment. "We didn't fight to rule," she said quietly. "Tell them that. Tell them Earth remembers what it's like to be unheard." Ilaris paused. "Then what will you do now?" Reyes turned to the viewport. The stars shimmered like a sea of possibilities. "We rebuild," she said, "and we watch, because power always tries to rise again, and when it does, humanity will be ready." The horizon drifted through the silent remains of the Council world, engines humming softly. Behind them, the light of the echo core still shimmered faintly in the void. Like a scar and a warning, across the galaxy, old orders fell, and new voices began to rise, voices that no longer feared to speak. And in that fragile silence, a new truth was born. Earth's ruthless retaliation had not just stunned the Council, it had awakened the galaxy.